Chair. Motion to approve the January 9th, 2019 minutes as written.
I second.
Discussion,
Not for me.
ready to vote?
Yes.
Yes,
Aye.
Aye.
thank you. 4 yeses and 1 absent.
Madam Chair, I'll make a
The
motion.
vouchers?
I'll make a motion to approve 159.77 voucher to Staples Office Supplies.
Second.
Ready to vote?
Aye.
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 And the next one?
I'll make a motion to approve 230 voucher for H.L. Graham for technical review of 66 Parish Road.
Second.
Any discussion?
Aye.
Okay, all ready?
Aye.
Aye.
And I'll make another motion to approve a $215 voucher to Land Law Specialty Publishers for the Land Court Reporter 2019 subscription.
Okay, second?
Aye.
I mean, yes. I mean, second.
Ready to vote?
Aye.
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 Okay. Do you have the red packet or?
I do.
No?
Nope, I do. Should have that up here. There we go.
Thank you.
We have a lot of keys.
Jeez. No, you know what we did? They were all over the place. We got a box and mounted them and
Good idea.
labeled them.
Now you're gonna be able to find them.
Come up here looking for the key and you gotta scan it.
Madam Chair, if you'll hear it, I will make a motion to consider the correspondence as read.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great. Good stuff. Okay.
All right, and next on the agenda is Palmer Lane. I suspect that's why you're here. Take a seat, Paul. Paul Nelson.
Yes, yes. My name is Paul Nelson. I'm a trustee for the Affordable Housing Trust, and I'm here tonight to talk about the HCP for Palmer Lane.
Can I, before we start,
Sure.
explain what's going on? As I said earlier, the applicant was not able to attend tonight's meeting. They were going to try to, but not able to attend. The original request for this evening was to request the planning board to consider reducing the surety that we have in place. Now, right now, there's $107,000 plus in the bond amount that we have. Their request was to reduce that to $14,000 with some remaining work. Now, the $14,000 is in accordance with our field inspector's report. What remains outstanding, besides the actual several physical aspects of the subdivision not being complete, is the affordable housing calculation for this development. I went over this with Paul, and I've discussed it with several board members. And what I prepared for tonight in regard to the affordable housing calculation is the language that's included in page 5 of the approval decision for Palmer Lane.
Do you have some of that in this already?
That's in, yeah, that, page 5 is on the first page of the staff report.
You're talking about 1C
Correct.
calculation.
Which is actually a hybrid calculation compared to the black and white calculation for the affordable
Sounds like a very
housing.
specific
Yeah.
calculation for the specific situation of
Yeah, because there
this.
were only 3 new houses in an existing house. So it's less than 1, so you gotta come up with a fraction. In this particular case, it's 0.3, or actually,
0.4 times.
Yeah,
0.04
Yeah.
times 3.
yeah.
Times
So
whatever the
what-
average is.
What
but
makes it different?
unique was the average of the 2, not the 3. That was unique.
Well, no, it's unique mostly because it was the selling price, and this is how it reads. I gotta read this, and I hope you guys have patience for this, but subsection C of the condition, it reads, "The calculation for the average market sales price shall utilize the average sale price of the first 2 units of the Palmer Lane definitive subdivision and special permit with a dwelling unit constructed thereon." Now, coming up with the calculation, and the calculation is, housing contribution payment, HCP, equals AMSP, average market sales price of each of the 3 market rate single-family dwellings. And that should be 2, all right, 2 market rate single-family, plus the existing house at Palmer Lane, that is Lot 1. Lot 1, that's the new lot, the first new lot with the new house on it in
That's not
Palmer Lane.
Dorothy. Oh, no, lot 1 is the first brand new one.
First brand new one.
Okay.
Okay, that sold for $689,900.
Right.
Lot 2, again, new house, the second lot, that sold for $692, $692,200. And then the special permit lot,
Refresh my memory, what are we calling the special permit lot? Is that a third lot, or is
No.
that where the Blanchards used to actually
First
live?
lot.
yeah, that was where the Blanchards lived.
Okay, that was the existing house.
Right.
Okay.
Now, the
And-
lot, can I, okay, let you
No,
finish and then.
no, so that property, now, this is where things get a little goofy. I'm sure the planning board never anticipated that the developer was going to sell that lot with the house thereon.
The original house.
Yeah, right at the beginning. The board probably thought, and I wasn't here, but you were probably anticipating the developer was going to rehab that property and then sell it. Well, what they did was, they got the subdivision approval, they purchased the property in its entirety. With the subdivision approval, that became its own separate lot with the house thereon that was in disrepair. Well, the developer did not repair or rehab that property. He sold it in an as-is condition, and it sold for $240,000. So that was the outlier that kind of messed up what the ultimate sum would have been. And say it sold on average with the other 2 lots, $689,000. Then you're talking about an affordable housing fee, if you want to call it a fee, of close to $84,000, maybe $85,000, right? But because it was 240 plus 692,000 plus 689,000, divided by 3, that became an average selling price of $540,700. Okay, now the calculation goes on. You multiply 540,700 times 3, right, number of units, and then times, that sum times 0.04, 4%. And that comes out to a total of $64,884. And
I wonder about that sale for $240,000.
Arm's length?
Hmm?
Arm's length?
I don't know. I mean, it just sounds like that's not market value.
well, what happened was the property, once the subdivision was approved, the entire property sold for I think it was 489,000, the whole thing. But the whole thing consisted, with subdivision approval, of 3 new house lots and the existing house with its own lot.
3 new house lots.
3 new house lots.
So there's the 4th lot is actually the special permit lot.
That's correct.
Okay.
Hmm.
So,
That isn't how I interpreted it. If that's the way, that's
Yeah, so
totally
yes.
different.
See, the weird thing is that you do have the sale of the entire property recorded. All right, and that was 489,000, whatever it
Right.
is. The cards in the report, the staff report. The only other recorded sale of that property with the original house thereon is $240,000. There's no succeeding sale recorded for that property.
And when was that?
That was within several months of the planning board approval. So, and it hasn't sold since then. So, it's a technicality. They're not here.
Yeah,
So,
it's tough to,
yeah.
because what
Can I interject a little
understood-
bit here? We actually went through the same hassle with the attorney leave.
Right. I was gonna
And the
bring
way,
that.
what we did is we established a rolling average. Because you could, when you do a development, you're never gonna get everything done simultaneously. But at some point in time, you have to pay the affordable housing. So what it was you take the first price and the second price and you add them together and you have a medium price for 2. The third one adds on and the fourth one adds on. And then if then is the time that you actually have to do your partial payment, then you just project the average you've got right now to the number of units that are yet to be built. Under the assumption they're all building roughly the same kind of thing, which Attorney Leaf turned out, basically it was, their issue was, essentially they were selling lots,
Lots.
and then they were selling houses, and a lot wasn't worth anything what a house was, so that was another
didn't
sticky
we
wicket.
have a tripwire for that, though, where there was if it sold as a lot, it would be considered like 500,000 or something?
Yes.
We had language,
Right.
or at least that's
Right.
smart.
And that fits your bylaw, your inclusionary bylaw. That works with the inclusionary bylaw. The thing that was put together for this does not, because the inclusionary bylaw is dealing with only new units. By
Right.
throwing a special permit in there, you're totally corrupting the whole process. And so we end up with essentially $20,000 cut off the affordable.
I think the calc is wrong. I think it should be times 4, because you have 3 new house lots, plus you have an existing.
No, the
think-
inclusionary bylaw just deals with new units. Because even in Attorney Leaf, we had the 32 Lisa Lane too, and we didn't deal with that. I mean, that was its own separate entity.
So when I first saw this, 2 meetings ago, I got in contact with John and we went over it back and forth. And we pulled up the page 5. And that planner had never done the affordable housing either. That was her first time. And as I recall, that was a hurry up, finish it before we didn't meet the deadline. And we had to go to the police station and see the final thing. So we didn't have any time for analysis. And it's it's not our fault that we didn't consider that right away like our bylaw says. That's the reason why the developer should meet with the Affordable Trust.
Or you
to
guys,
get
you
some
guys can
advice.
ask us to call us in and we'll,
Yeah.
I mean, we went through a lot of hassle on Attorney Leaf, but I think it worked out well. And that's the bottom line.
So I was back to what exists today, as I understand it, on Palmer. The Dot's house was sold, and the person that bought it, whether whoever it was, developer, whoever, added an addition which was as big as the house, but it was attached to that old house. So that in itself, I consider that's not considered new. If somebody has an old house, an existing house, and adds an addition to it,
No, because the inclusionary bylaw is dealing with new units.
they're dealing with new units. And because there was only 3 new units, buildings that are going to be built, we made the consideration or discussion about it that, well, we'll wait until you sell 2 of them and then we'll know what the third one is.
I gotta get out of here. Hold on.
But unfortunately, they didn't come through with the affordable payment until all of them were sold. So the new houses are all sold. So in my mind, we should just follow the bylaw. And the bylaw would be
It might not pop up.
a lot more. And so we couldn't come to a recognition of agreement. So I suggested maybe we should just send it to town council and see if he can decide which one is the right way. Because does the decision overpower the bylaw? Well, he already made a statement back with Turning Leaf that you can't. We don't have that authority, and I know we don't have the authority to change the zoning. That has to be through town meeting and with a special permit or variance through the ZBA. So we don't have that authority. So I think, and my recommendation would be, send it off to John Eichman and let him make a determination so that we can be fair. Because the whole idea, in my mind, is to be fair, is that everybody's treated the same. We follow the bylaw. It's a simple thing to me. Everybody gets the same shake. There's no loopholes.
It's even more egregious than that, though, because they were supposed to, whatever payment they were gonna make, they were supposed to make it
That's an old one.
by the sale of the
Second house.
second house, October.
Get out of there.
And so,
Right.
I don't understand why they at least haven't made the wrong payment. I
The
mean,
interesting
maybe,
part about it, with any subdivision, with any time that we bring in an in-lieu payment versus an actual dwelling built on the site during a development, the difficult part is the timing of the payment. Do you ask for it right up front before a house is even sold, which wouldn't work because you couldn't get an average? At what point do you look for that payment to be made? Before the
they
fifth?
said after 2 units. I mean, so if you've done 2 units, I mean, that was in the little criteria that
Well,
it was
2
put
units
together.
because they assumed that would be 2/3 of the way through the
Right, and so
development.
you could probably project, and in this case, would have been a little bit low, but it would have been a lot closer than 240.
Yeah.
The last one went for 7-something, and the other ones were 690 and 680. So,
So based on.
The interesting part that the wording were, definitive subdivision and special permit with a dwelling. That's interesting wording.
That's why I say, it's definitely a high.
This is all
price.
surprise to me. I was recused from this.
Because-
So I don't know the thinking of the board either. I
Right,
don't know.
he wasn't around.
I don't know
He had to step
what
out.
you guys were, what you had in mind when, I mean, obviously
Yeah.
it was put there for a reason. I don't know what that reason is, so.
Right, believe me, there was a huge amount of time consumed over
Yeah.
the last
John
month.
did a great job, and
Oh.
Andrea.
What happened was, we didn't have page 5.
Yeah.
So my first calculation went strictly in accordance with the zoning ordinance language, and it was specific. And it came out to 84,000 and some change. And I notified the
Okay,
applicant
yeah,
of that.
That was way I,
And that would have been in strict accord. And then finally got a hold of page 5 and this inclusionary housing component. You read through it, and then you read section C.
Yep, yep.
The calculation
in the
shall be
decision.
this way. It's different. It's completely different. And the unanticipated consequence,
it was to lower the average.
yeah, but the board wasn't thinking that way. You would have had to have been clairvoyant to figure out things were gonna go down this way in reality, and that being, the developer sold the property as is. If he put the work into it, rehabbed it, and then sold it, it probably would have
Different
been
value.
more in the upper sixes.
Yeah, would have been
Then,
a higher amount.
and then you would have had the 84,000.
but I think it's simpler than that. I think
Affordable house.
the inclusionary bylaw is talking about new units,
Yeah, but
not
the
not
inclusionary
refurbished.
bylaw is its own language.
Right.
This is a specific condition
this an
with a different
extraction from it,
calculation
right.
that this board
That was the
endorsed.
contradiction.
Why
Yeah.
was this a special permit?
How about that?
Because it was a pre-existing non-conforming building. It was a historic building, Dot's house.
Okay.
So when you change that, you need a special permit for pre-existing non-conforming. And the first step they did was they were gonna demolish it. Because we had in their package, we got the package of
Why
their,
didn't they just A&R it?
They could have by historical
I
requirements,
don't
they
know.
could have waited out and then tore down
Yeah.
the house, right?
yeah.
But they didn't do that. They decided to rehab it. So they didn't have to wait in accordance with the state statutes on historic structures that are 75
Yeah.
years. You know what I'd like
But
to
and
do?
then they didn't rehab it. right?
They modified it.
They added.
Whatever
a
you
new
wanna
house
call
to
it.
They tore down a section of the back.
Demo delay was
But
only
this
6 months.
house,
Yeah.
Yeah, demo delay was only
that's
6
Dot's
months.
house,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And they didn't rehab it,
No,
they sold it.
For 240,000.
they sold it with that house,
And they
yeah.
sold these for
And the
690.
succeeding owner did all the work.
There's no dividing line for Dot's house. It's attached.
Oh, so the
To
new
the
owner
first-
is the one that did the addition. All right, never mind, I got it.
Hey, what I'd like to do, because they're not here, so,
Sure.
you know, they're not here to negotiate or whatever. I would recommend that the board table the reduction, the surety reduction request at this point in time. In that, just to continue this whole matter to the next meeting. Give them a chance to come in here and discuss things. I would suggest that ultimately, if the applicant does pay more, that would have to be an agreed upon situation between
Right.
the planning board and the applicant. Because
How many
the
houses are there,
zoning
though?
ordinance says one thing,
If,
the condition says another,
Yeah.
and then it's like,
Yeah.
wow, we weren't thinking about
Yeah.
that. And it saved $25,000 in the, you know, ultimate outcome of this thing for, on the side of the
It's a
developer.
big difference,
Yeah.
big difference.
So,
For myself, my own personal opinion, I'd like to do away with a fraction. You build a house, fella, that's what we need in town. We gotta bring that number up.
Yeah, but however, you have to allow for things to be financially feasible.
For the extra
You-
point, yeah.
Yeah,
for
so
the
you wouldn't,
percentage.
nobody would be
the
able
flip
to
side
develop.
is too, I mean,
If
they,
it-
they did not appeal this decision because they read it.
Yeah.
Obviously, a little more carefully than the planning board.
And they worked around it.
But
And
you gave
exactly,
him the figure, they
exactly.
didn't give you
Yeah.
that figure.
And
No, but you know what,
The game
they,
is on.
they
Every
did
time
say
you
that
put your
they
signature
thought
on
it was
the
around
decision,
the 60
game is on.
as
Yeah.
opposed to, from the beginning. And that's because if they do their numbers right, yeah, you had the higher two
offset.
selling.
Which would
yeah.
you take, the high or the low, if you were a developer?
I'd always take the low, I'm
Yeah,
gonna make more
I
money.
don't
Yeah,
blame
but
them.
you don't know, though.
You guys realize they grossed 3 million off of it, of this thing?
Wow.
So
That
it-
isn't, we don't get into that.
No, but I mean,
Yeah, but
This-
Paul,
this
gross
is-
doesn't come close to being net.
but I think their net
Gross
is
is
probably,
just gross.
their net's probably
You
over
have
a
to pay
million.
for materials,
easy.
labor, everything else
Yeah,
that
it's-
goes with it, so.
Yeah, so
Net,
we
the
don't get
bottom
into
line
that.
is net.
Yeah,
That's the only thing that counts.
But I just think, like I said, to be fair, we gotta follow the book.
Well, I think what we need to do is we need to be very, very clear, and we need to lock it down. You can't sneak around it by selling a lot. I know we had a few bumps in the road there, but the Lisa Lane one there, the Lisa Lane extension.
Yep.
I think that's a good template.
it worked out, yeah, it
It's a
worked
good
out, yeah.
template.
We learned a lot,
It's a good template.
yeah.
That's all you can say.
We're still
Yeah,
learning.
I said that in my staff report. This is a live and learn moment.
Yeah,
I mean,
this
no
was-
one could have
this was- yeah.
foreseen that happening, but it did.
Yeah, we didn't
If we
have,
wanted to amend anything,
Yeah.
that would be the one, that bylaw.
keep in mind.
No
that-
lowballing.
This.
No, the
this
bylaw,
was-
the
this was-
bylaw itself is okay. It was the interpretation that the person used that did the calculations, that mixed old houses and new houses together, and they were the same entity, and they're not.
Right,
That's where it fell apart.
that's where it fell apart.
Yeah.
But
And
the-
we didn't
the-
have a planner for months.
Well,
Yeah,
not only that though, there was a person that took up the cause of coming up with this condition.
Mm.
And the condition was not present when the development was approved. This came in after that, but it was part of the ultimate decision that was signed by 3/4 of this board. You were the only abstaining.
Yeah, I was accused. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it did make it into that.
Yeah, it's true.
But to start off, I didn't have page 5 in
I
the
know,
folder.
I know, that was the.
Found it
missing
down in the town
file.
clerk's office.
Yeah, I thought it
We
was all
learned.
found and.
Madam Chair, if
Sure.
you'll hear it, I will make a motion to table the Palmer Lane request to reduce surety and discussion about the Affordable Housing Trust contribution payment to,
Next,
what's a good time? Next one? Figure the next one?
27th is,
The 27th of February.
yeah.
second.
There should be something in there that what if they decide not to show the next one, at some point in
Table
time.
it again.
Well, the only thing I'd like to add is on the surety bond, I would not lower that surety bond until you're darn sure that all their obligations have been satisfied.
I know what you're making common sense, but we can't do a thing about it. That
Oh, you
has to
can.
be-
Why
That
can't you?
surety is just that.
Right, I mean, I'm not saying add to it,
Develop.
I'm just saying not, they would like to move it down to like 14,000, it's 100,000 now. Leave it where it is until all of their obligations are satisfied. I don't see, that's just
I
common
think what
sense.
Paul's saying is deal with things one at a time.
Right.
First, deal with the affordable housing issue and make sure that the payment is made. Resolve it, make sure the payment is made, and then deal with the release of the surety.
Exactly.
I think that's what Paul's saying.
Well.
You can't use that money towards, we can't take money from that to pay the
No, but
trust.
it's leverage.
Before-
It's
you
a
could
matter
hold-
of sequence
You
and
could hold it
priority.
hostage.
How about
Exactly,
we just,
exactly.
we continue things until the applicant shows up?
Yes, I think
Yeah,
that,
absolutely, yeah.
No, I-
Because
There's nothing in
in
the
a-
state
in a-
statutes that would allow us to hold up, surety matters with an affordable housing component.
But-
They owe us the money, right? There's a legal avenue of getting that money somehow, okay? But it's not tied into a surety that's only related to the improvements of, within the right of way and appurtenance there too. It
Is-
has
I
nothing to
entirely
do-
separate.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with the
Is it,
affordable
yeah,
housing.
I didn't see the surety wording, but it doesn't seem like it's got that component to it.
What do you mean surety? Bond is
The
a
surety
surety.
bond, I mean, what is
Bond
it?
is a surety.
Is it just the physical components?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interestingly enough,
That's the
usually
way I
what we have,
understand it.
when
I'm
we,
not a
when we
lawyer.
have it is before,
You can't-
before
can't
you
hold
even
money for
get a
something that-
certain,
And
building permit or an occupancy permit, usually the payment must be made before an occupancy permit is granted on
Yeah.
X, Y, Z
Well,
lot.
that's in there too. It actually says before the sale of the third unit, in lieu of payment to the Affordable Housing Trust.
The
what
third
was-
unit?
Yes,
So the third new unit.
third new unit, yes.
No, 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 no,
Was
no.
due in October.
You know what? You're not a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer. Nobody on the board's a lawyer. No one's interpreting the law concerning this.
I'm just talking about,
In the decision?
No, it was actually in the decision. It says that the affordable payment will be made before the
That's
sale of the
correct.
third unit.
The third unit.
That's
The
right.
third unit being the first two units, new housing.
Right.
And then the special permit unit with the house thereon. That's the third unit.
So the third
The
unit was.
fourth unit.
See, I never considered.
the
that.
No,
fourth unit
I don't
would've been
think
at
so.
The second new dwelling then.
Yeah.
Well, you
Right?
know what? If we can't
Is it-
figure
would
it
it-
out, we can go to the legal eagles about it. Right?
That's how
You
I
know?
think we should go.
Yeah.
I think it needs to be more specific
But
language.
wait a minute, how many buildings are there?
There's four.
There's four.
three new houses.
So no matter which one it was,
In the-
one-
in the-
whether it was the second
finish
new
the fourth
unit or
house?
the third new unit.
Oh,
They're all
Yeah,
sold.
whether it was
Yeah.
the second new unit or the
Oh,
third
okay.
new unit,
It-
that never should
we
have
were
gotten a building,
supposed to.
an occupancy
We
permit.
were supposed
Yeah,
to,
okay.
before the last new unit, the
Right.
third new unit,
Good. But somehow it
acquire
fell through the
this
cracks.
affordable housing.
Right.
That last unit was sold in the fall, and I told Paul this earlier. We've been dealing with this and trying to get the board together, the applicant together, everybody on the same page in the same room. And here we had the opportunity to finally get that done, and they have a problem. They can't get here, neither one of the applicants. So we're gonna
Let's-
shoot
this one?
for, we're gonna shoot for the next meeting, and hopefully everything gets ironed out.
So did Les miss this in the decision, or like you said, the page was missing?
It wasn't in our file.
Okay, so it's probably not
It
Les's
wasn't
file either, right?
recorded at the registry of deeds.
That's the other question
It
I'd
was
like
only
to
page
bring up.
one.
He would have signed off on it. Okay,
How,
well, that's how it slips through the
maybe
cracks.
Harry's more familiar with it, but I wasn't.
Yeah.
When John did the research on the registry,
Yeah.
the only page registered was the last page with our signatures on it,
In the first page.
and the first page. Now, there were 19 pages in that decision. How is that legal to just,
yeah.
What you record is what you record, and the onus is on the planning board to check that recordation and confirm that it is what the planning board decision was intended to be recorded.
yeah.
Yeah, the applicant should be
That-
getting
that
back
makes
after
sense,
they
but I
make the
don't know.
recordation, book and page. There it is, okay. Oh, page 1 and page 19, not good enough. Get back, yes, but again, this was during a period of time when we had no town planner.
Yeah.
Then we had a planner, very short time, then we had no town planner, then you came on board. So it,
And
was a
luckily,
difficult time.
luckily, it's only a 4-lot subdivision.
we're gonna fix this, we're gonna fix
Not a
it.
40. We're gonna fix it.
So how official is this guy right here? Does that constitute anything? It
What am I looking
says,
at, Paul?
Parker
That's
Lane
my staff
subdivision.
report. That's the first page of the staff report that everybody
Okay.
has a copy of.
Okay, does that have any,
Highlighted section is section that specifies the calculation, that,
that's separate, yeah, no, I wasn't getting to that. I was just, section B indicates that they were supposed to make that payment before the third Palmer Line definitive subdivision and the special permit lot, both of them. So either one of them, would have triggered it.
Yeah,
right, and as I told you, we've been trying to get everybody on
Yeah.
the same page, on the same meeting, on the same night, since
tough.
Month,
that
two.
particular house was sold.
Interesting,
Very,
Okay.
very.
But
It
like
just
you-
goes to show you, things, you have to be nimble with this stuff.
Oh, it's
You
all
have to be
follow-up,
quick.
it's all
You
follow-up.
have to be able to jump over the.
Well, you know, it's
Handles.
like communication now. Harry, you brought out the building inspector. How did they give an occupancy permit if all of the decision was not met? I mean, how do they do that?
It was.
We've gotta follow an enforcement process.
yes.
Well, that's why it's so very important to break out these decisions and write them in the same template. And highlight prior to the occupancy permit for the 6th lot.
Right.
This happens in boldface, so that
the
it's
prob- the
very
problem-
easy for a
if you
building
have a
inspector to
lot-
flip through.
If
Oh,
you have a lack of continuity of personnel,
Yeah.
this is what happens.
Sure.
absolutely.
No one left me an instruction sheet. Hey, by the way,
No.
Yeah.
you know, you gotta do this, this, and this. And, you know, when I first got here, we're still dealing heavily with, Little's Hill. And still dealing heavily with Chaplain Hill. You know, these old subdivisions now that just have a lot of outstanding stuff.
Yeah, Little Hills, I mean, that's
Little Hills, oh,
20 years,
Johnny, you,
15 years.
I know, you have to go down in the boxes
There's
downstairs
actually
to
2
get
permits
most
for
of this.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John, do you know about workflow systems?
Yeah, really.
What is it?
Workflow systems, because this is a workflow that it's really easy to lose that thread. And how did this happen? And what was the decision-making process?
Yeah.
But if we had a workflow system, as these plans, as these
Decisions.
decisions exactly evolved, we would capture that at the time.
Right.
Howard
And
was
then
doing a
be able
very
to-
good job of it, because what he would do, basically what he would do is, we took the most all-inclusive, complicated 20-page decision, and then would take that, and then as the things got simpler for a 4-lot subdivision, 3-lot court, whatever, pull out things that were just too
Right.
much. But by doing that, you didn't lose the essence, you didn't lose the requirement to have that affordable
Right,
housing
right.
payment made before one of these lots were sold.
And I
Or if
recall
it
it
was
was-
a lot, it had a minimum price assigned to it.
Right.
Couldn't get around.
Right.
It's a
These
living
are all,
document that is.
absolutely, it evolves,
Yeah.
it evolves.
I wonder what.
All of these properties have had mortgages. You would think there would have been a bank or a mortgage company
I have to think
following
which one it
through,
was.
checking the registry,
don't know.
checking to see. I mean, they may have even had a lawyer. Why? You know, all these people look at it.
I mean, you can talk to spreadsheets and everything else, but the bottom line is things get forgotten. They get, you know, over time. You know, it's pretty sad what happens when you really look at the history of things. In a 10-year period of time, almost everything gets forgotten. It doesn't matter if you have a spreadsheet, because you're gonna have a transfer of personnel. You know, if you have somebody paying attention to this stuff year in and year out, and that person's required to be accountable for every account associated with these subdivisions and every fee that's required to be paid. You know, it's like, last year, I was wrestling with an attorney and applicants having to do with an affordable housing unit that they wanted and I brought this to the board's attention, they wanted to sell at market rate. And they were hell-bent, they were determined to be able to sell that at market rate. The only problem is it was an affordable unit that's tied up until 2038. So I said, don't come back when it's
In
2000.
2038.
That's what his realtor told him too.
Oh, but it was the hardest thing in the world to convince them. And then
Yeah.
they hired an attorney, and the attorney came in questioning.
I mean, you think the attorney would know the law.
I said, here it is,
That's
right here. This is
surprising. Yeah.
black and white. and
Billable
there's
hours?
no
He was writing a
ifs,
deed writer,
Argued
yeah.
against it.
Yeah,
Is there
that's
anything else,
unethical,
Paul?
but-
No, that's it, that's
All
it.
right.
Thank you,
Sorry
guys.
came out. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, take
Did
care,
we-
guys.
Did we vote on,
Did we vote on, I'm sorry?
We
I
didn't
made a-
vote
made a
because
motion.
I was trying to get
My
in that we
apologies.
review it with town council,
Motion to,
but you
table.
didn't make that a
Vote.
motion.
Motion to table the Palmer Lane surety reduction request and the Palmer Lane subdivision affordable housing contribution discussion until, do we wanna go for the next one, John?
Yeah, we shouldn't,
Feb 27th, is it?
Yeah.
27th, Feb 27th.
we have time to do it, that meeting.
Okay,
and
As-
it may
as-
be that subsequent to that, we might wanna drive that through.
follow it through.
through the law.
I second.
And, just suggest again that, anything higher than what's been prescribed, may be a matter of discussion, debate, and, agreed upon by both parties.
Hopefully.
Yeah,
Hopefully,
yeah.
All right, okay.
Thanks, Paul.
Ready to vote? Okay,
Aye.
Aye.
4-0. One absent. Okay,
I knew that would take a while.
we've got to get it straight. We can't go through this every time.
torturous.
We've got two other developments that are around the corner for this affordable.
Yeah.
Okay, where'd Harry go? You've done a great job though, John. I have to hand it to you.
Yeah, I wanna get a hold
Trying
of
to
one of
get
those
this-
spreadsheets.
Get this right.
I do want to.
Honestly, Joanne, I had no idea that you had broken bones in there. I thought it was a sprain or something.
My wife did the same thing about 2 months ago.
I know, afterwards it's like, oh, I should have done that, but I'm glad I
Her
went.
foot was
Yeah.
asleep, and she got up real quick.
Oh,
I was tired, I just didn't know, like, I could kind of feel it a little bit when I was walking, I'm like, but.
No, you were great.
Jeez,
Chugging
jeez.
along. And, that's the kind of thing that you have an injury, so you're gonna change the way you carry your weight.
Okay,
So other
Bob, you're
infrastructure.
next.
Yeah, I know, the gate, I
A
know. I've been
conceptual
trying
plan
to
review.
keep it as normal as possible.
For
It's just-
44
it's just not
Spofford
level,
Street.
so it's-
Right.
What is this, a site plan review?
Done good.
3-lot subdivision.
A 3-lot subdivision. I didn't see an application.
It's a
Did I miss
conceptual,
the conceptual?
Which one is it?
It's a pre-conceptual.
Pre-conceptual.
There's no such thing, but,
Motion to limit this to 10
Oh,
minutes,
here.
no past 8 o'clock, serious.
and it's non-binding.
Motion to limit this discussion until no later than 8 o'clock.
I'd second that. 'Cause we're early
Yeah,
on in the
this
game.
is nothing.
So rock and roll.
this is just
Yeah.
a conceptual, we're just trying to get a board's feel.
Go.
This is 44 Spofford Road, street, excuse me. It's lot 17, it consists of 15.26 acres. It's a vacant lot, the frontage is along Spofford right here, it goes here, 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 and here, and then back out to Spofford Street. There's an existing dwelling right here, and an existing dwelling on that. We had the wetlands delineated by Norris Environmental, shown in blue right here. There's a lot of wetland on the property. We're proposing 3 lots. The reason why for 3 lots, we had actually an A&R lot here, but due to the conservation restrictions of a 75-foot no build, which is no building, no driveway, no structures or anything. we couldn't get access off of Spofford Street. So we had to go from a court to a lane, which is from 2 lots to 3 lots. So we made it 40 feet wide for a lane. The road from the sideline of the right-of-way to the throat of the cul-de-sac is 436 feet, and you're allowed up to 500 feet. So the pavement width would be 20 foot wide, and a cul-de-sac at the very end of the road. We've done some soil testing out there. The one in green would show the proposed primary and the reserve. We have test pits in each one. We've worked with the Board of Health. We have official percolation and observation tests for this. So right here would be Lot 1, Lot 2, and Lot 3. They're fairly large lots. They meet these, the frontage and the area for each lot. This one has 248 feet along Spofford. Along the proposed right-of-way would be 395 feet for that, also that Lot 1. Lot 2 would have 201 feet, 200 feet is required, and on Lot 3 would be 227 feet. The reason why for that length, because we had to get away from the 75-foot buffer for the no-build zone to make room for the housing and the septic system. It will probably be town water. It's up to the developer if he can put wells in there or not, to run the water line up there with a hydrant. Probably be better with a hydrant that way for fire protection, because you're supposed to have a hydrant within 500 feet of each other along the street, along the roadway. And that's basically 500 feet to the end, so they'll probably put a hydrant at the end. The reason why we're here, we're just doing a concept, was right at the beginning, we're gonna file after this hearing, after this meeting, hearing, we're gonna file a definitive subdivision. We're gonna skip the preliminary and file a definitive subdivision with the planning board. And with the conservation, we're gonna file a notice of intent and a special permit for the groundwater protection district, which is shown in this purple line right here. And that's only the front entrance. So we have to file a special permit, a definitive subdivision plan, and a notice of intent with conservation.
Is that with the ZBA or with us?
Special
us.
permits with you.
That's with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll file both.
Groundwater protections with the
Yeah.
ZBA. Gotcha.
Yeah,
Sorry.
right here.
I
Showing
always
up
confuse those two.
in the purple line right here. So it's only in the front, which is, we're probably gonna put some type of treatment, pre-treatment, like a contact, like a vortex, or some type of pre-treatment for the drainage to come down the roadway, build a pond in here, do an easement, and then dump it back into the wetlands. So we'll pre-treat that for the water protection district. This doesn't require a sidewalk because there's no sidewalks on Spofford Street. On lanes, they require a sidewalk only if they're on, would intersects an existing right-of-way with a sidewalk. There'll never be a sidewalk on Spofford Street because it's a rural section. It's a very windy road. We got plenty of sight distance because this curves that way. And we got sight distance going that. We'll show those calculations in definitive subdivision.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
If I may.
Sure.
Yeah.
Why is this pre-conceptual or whatever you're calling it?
No, I just wanted to get the
Why
feel.
didn't you just file?
Because I wanted to get a feel because of this right here, of the 115 square feet of, I have to ask for a waiver with the Conservation Commission because they don't allow any pavement, driveway, or anything within the 75-foot of a wetland.
What does that have to do with us?
No, I'm just saying, this is what I'm proposing to the Conservation. I have to get their approval. I'm gonna currently file both applications, so I'm going like this instead of getting the planning board
instead of
approval.
serial.
And then all of a sudden get the Conservation, and then change the planning board.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so, that's why I'm just trying to get the feel of the board. The reason why we're going with a lane, because we couldn't get the access off of Spofford Street because they don't allow a driveway within 75 feet of the wetland. So we're gonna ask for a waiver right here, which is, there's a roadway between us, And we're just asking for this little 115 square feet of pavement to make the rounding for the. And that I was going to explain to the board that I'm going right from this meeting right into a definitive, because it's such a small, it's only proposed 3 dwellings on that amount of area. And we're also proposing, you know, this lot, parcel A, is part of the whole entire lot. We're either gonna give it to the planning board, conservation, greenbelt, or something, because it's just all wetland. We can give it to the abutter, we can give it to this lot, we just don't know what to do with it, it's just all wet. So I'm not sure if the town wants it, or if the abutter wants it, it's just all, they actually recently had their system upgrade here. They actually have their record location of a wetland. They had a botanist out there and they recorded that, and that's how I got this line right through here. But we had our botanist flag this right here. So that's.
Concom might certainly be interested in that.
Yeah. So that's, I just wanted to, you know, just get the feel of the board of how they are on courts and lanes. I haven't done one for a long time, so, before the board, so.
File it fast before we change it.
There's no setback then between the lane itself and the property?
No, you can, that's the property line, that's like, you can do 40 feet wide. The court would have been 30 feet wide, but we were forced to do 40 feet wide, you know, and from 18 feet of pavement down, up to 20 feet, because we couldn't get this would have been a Form A if we didn't have the wetland right here to get a driveway up into the lot. So then we would just file a court, which is 2 lots or less.
John, do you have any comments?
Well, as I stated in my staff report,
Right.
yeah, you know, Bob, there is a lot of wetlands on the property.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, have you calculated how much
Yeah,
continuous upland is involved with each lot now?
I show that on every lot. Lot 1, there's, you only need, we're in the RC district, and you only need, well, it's 80,000 square feet, and we have 68,000. You only need, I think, 75% of 80,000 that you need for CBA. I think it's 40,000 that you need. We're way over the CBA. I forget the formula, but we're over this, the CBA on each lot. That's how I create the lots. I wanted to make sure we had continuous upland, billable upland. Like, in other words, this lot right here can't count all this upland right here, because we didn't want to do a crossing. So all this is all upland. It just goes straight up right there. And on the definitive, actually, we're going to show grades and obviously the grading for the
There's
the
no
road.
topography at all on that.
No, I'm just saying,
This
this
is a
is,
pretty hilly.
yeah, it's actually, this goes up and then it levels up, it kind of keeps going up here. And the highest point is, well, this is kind of level here, and then it starts rising a little over here. And then this goes down and then really up like this.
Yeah.
Right. It really goes up like that, so that's why we're not even gonna get into that area, because we didn't want to do a crossing and all that.
Yeah, it's dramatic.
And just keep the house up front here, or the driveway there. They meet the setbacks. We've done all the percolation tests, official with the Board of Health. So basically, I'm just here to get a feel for the board, and that's it.
You just wanna be able to tell the Concom, oh, they loved it, I took this before the planning, but they were so, oh, nothing but smiles.
No.
One of them's gonna come in wearing a
No, he
cheerleader
gave me 15
uniform.
minutes, that's all he gave me.
Any other
I don't
comments?
see it, I don't see it.
I mean, it's like, we had to do a lane because, like I said, we couldn't get access to this lot. It would have been a Form A, I would have only filed a two lot subdivision. But we have to file
Forgive me, Bob, I'd pay way more attention if you actually had a filing in front of us.
Yeah, I know, I'm just,
Bob, if it was me.
all I wanted is conceptual.
Yep,
That's it.
thank you.
You don't have to comment, I'm just presenting.
All good.
I just think you should go to the Concom first,
Yeah, well, I'm gonna file both.
not, coincide business, because what is it, April that you have to do with
Yeah.
them? That's your first step.
Okay. Well,
Because there's
see,
two
now
s-
I'm getting some comments out of the board.
There's two special permits you're gonna need. You
Yeah,
need
one from
groundwater-
you,
No,
groundwater,
the groundwater is one,
yeah,
and then the lane is another.
yeah, and then notice
So
of
you got
intent.
two. So we have time frames on that clock dimensions,
Yeah,
60 days, for,
well, you get extensions too,
if you give them.
yes.
So, but if we don't have enough information, that could be a
Well, you
denial.
ask for the information, if I ask for an
Right.
extension, I sign for an extension, then you
Okay.
get extensions. You-
You've been around this, so
Yeah, so that's,
you know. That's my recommendation. Go to the
Past
Concom.
8 o'clock.
Done good.
Okay.
all right, I
Is
just,
there anything else you want to tell us?
no, I just wanted to say that I'm gonna file both at the same time, and I will get Concom, the notice of intent
Yeah.
filed with them also.
Thanks for the courtesy notice for
Thank you.
Okay.
It was a courtesy meeting, that's all it was.
Thank you.
I'll be watching the Concom meeting.
Oh, those guys.
Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, Bob.
Thank you.
Have a good
Bye.
night. All right, the next thing on our agenda is, review 51 West Street, which we're too late on?
Yes, but they are coming our way in any event.
Okay,
We don't have to do anything with that one.
so you didn't get an application yet for a site approval?
Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
The next one you got on there is, 4 Carlton Drive, which we just heard.
Yeah.
Description of the 4G technology.
Now, with Carlton Drive.
Carlton
that's-
Drive.
That's the
Sorry?
Quonset.
Yeah, that's
That's
the,
Oh, you wanna
that's
talk
not,
about that one?
what is that?
Okay.
ZBA input?
Yes, yeah.
I have real trouble giving input on things when,
Nobody's here.
yeah.
Yeah, they're not here.
So,
I
Okay.
have real trouble giving, I mean,
Yeah,
I just
hear
don't know
you.
what to say with some of these things.
Yeah.
You know, we're not formally looking at these things. Nor, in my
It's not
opinion,
in
should
our-
we be?
It's not in
It
our.
goes before the ZBA.
Yeah,
At
and it's
this
coming
point,
our way
it's the
anyway
use.
for our own technical
The
review.
use is the use. If the ZBA feels the use is appropriate,
Yeah.
they say so, they grant it, and they add their conditions, and then we listen to the conditions and we deal with the site plan.
Yeah, and this briefly is just, the locust plan here. Carlton Drive, this is the existing building, and this is the proposed Quonset hut footprint.
I don't think we have a Quonset hut anywhere in town. do we?
I'm very, very curious when this comes before the board to see the renderings, and
This is a
many,
new
many
one.
other aspects of it. And actually, I hope, well, just personally, I hope they don't get a second building. I think
Okay.
it sets a bad precedent. That's just me, though. What do I know?
As much as
How
the
about a
next
third or a
guy, at
fourth?
least.
How about a third, or a fifth, or a seventh?
We've
Well,
got the
seven.
4G technology. I have no input on this at all. John,
This is-
John, take it
Are we,
over.
are we way past this? Didn't this go by already?
No, but
Is it in the
the
rearview?
Board of Selectmen, it's been determined, since our last meeting, they are dealing with the formal application, from the Tilson Corporation. And that's for a, small cell, antenna system that's proposed at the, Four
Downtown?
Corners. Yeah,
That's where the camel's nose goes in?
yeah,
I did like your comment
Then
about
every
the
300
monument. I
feet.
thought that was a great idea.
yeah.
I hope they consider that.
Something, it's all about trying to work with them, but another idea is to possibly work along the lines of two locations. Because ultimately, when this system, this small cell antenna system is built out throughout the country, what they're planning is every 500 feet along rights of way, you're going to have
500
these
feet,
Three.
that's nothing.
300 feet. Yeah,
Three,
yeah, depending on
Yeah.
site.
450s.
Distance, yeah.
Yeah, it's low power. It's low power. You're looking at 300. I've been looking
And
into it a little bit.
In the coming years, these units will probably become a lot smaller than they are right now, but, right now, we're talking about possibly working with them for two locations, with the two locations each being, blended into the environment,
Environment,
rather than, right in the middle of things, sticking out like a sore thumb.
I have a question about this technology. This is a cellular technology, 5G, that is.
Whoa,
Well, actually, it's 4G.
With a 300 feet, 100 yards
350.
between antennae,
Mhm.
broadcasting antennae. So what happens if I go for a walk in the backyard? And there's the trail that leads up past the soccer
It's not
field?
gonna work.
Don't worry about it, because this installation down in the downtown is only the Camel's Nose. The next one will be a little further down, and then a little further down, and before you know it, every other pole. And that's just how it's gonna be. It's the Camel's Nose under the tent.
And for maintaining more telephone poles, utility poles, which we've talked about, trying to reduce the number of those sucker.
Now,
I don't understand.
they're also, the town is also gonna try to incorporate a temporary ordinance to, allow for the town to come up with a permanent ordinance, to regulate these small antennae systems, so
Okay.
that's part of it.
Because we're in an era of unknown, what the technology is going to require.
Well, I mean, everything I read about it, this one they're proposing, it is for 4G, and they're a little ahead of the game for the 5G. But when 5G is rolled out, which is not that
Right,
far
right.
away, it's already available.
In some places.
You'll be able to roll over into it.
Yeah, they'll change out the motherboard of this antenna system here and be able to make it into a 5G unit.
With repeaters.
So we're good for
every
5
100
years at
yards.
least.
Well, they're projecting a build-out for 5G over the next 5 years. So, I mean, this technology is really what is absolutely necessary for the automated vehicles to work. And, it's really a matter, right now, talking in your cell phone takes up 20% of the space of 4G. It's the data,
Right.
all the data that's growing exponentially.
Netflix.
Yeah.
No.
And 5G compared to 4G,
Beyond.
5G is
Yeah,
10
it's
times
the bandwidth.
faster. It has 10 times the capacity of data transfer over the internet, 10 times. So it's 1,000 times faster, quicker, built out capacity. And when you read about this technology, it's going to transform our economy in many, many ways. It's going to be the driving force for growing our economy for many years to come.
Okay.
Sounds like science fiction, but you gotta read up on it, and then
Like
it's all right there in your
self-checkout,
face, and it's
this.
coming to us, not 10 years from now, not 20 years, it's happening over the next 5 years.
Okay, number 4 here is your budget.
Yeah.
How'd you make out with that?
Very well. I met with the finance committee last Saturday morning and went over our projected budget, and they were in agreement, and Board of Selectmen also in agreement. What I tried to express to them was that I'm trying to save as much money in the present fiscal year, so that we'll have almost enough money to take care of the updating of the E-code, which is, right now, it's probably gonna be in excess of 5. And I explained to them with the budget numbers involved with the 2020 budget, which we're proposing now, we'll have enough excess money to make sure any amount of money beyond 5,000, if it's 6,000 or 7, we'll have enough money to take care of the E-code updating issue. Between now and
For this year, your budget.
for this year, at the end of this fiscal year, and the beginning of next. So if we need
Okay,
more than
so you can have two
5,000,
payments.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Or we'll end up making one payment. It'll be an encumbered sum of money that will derive from our
Savings.
savings.
I tried to read your spreadsheet and it was really bad. I couldn't follow it, and the numbers
It's so
were,
tough when you don't have the lines. I need the grid.
yeah, the
Yeah.
numbers
Still need the grid.
weren't even,
Can't follow
and
them.
I couldn't.
Yeah, you need an 18-inch ruler to.
You need you need a perfect grid. Sometimes it's easier.
And reason more than anything, now it's all digitized. It's a software program that the town has adopted this year in preparing the budget.
Can you-
Excuse me, so what I was able to do is just pull it out, the data for our planning budget, and then
Okay.
put it in this one.
All right, so
Spreadsheet.
if you give us an updated copy so we can read it?
Yeah.
We have no clue. I couldn't figure. And what did the finance board ask of you?
Yeah,
What's
was the
existing?
FinCom happy? Were they happy with it?
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's basically the same budget as last year. Yeah, and, just, if you wanna go down line by line, I'll go over it.
No, but I mean, no, that's not necessary, but the, Mike has been putting so many expenses on ours that I thought it would be increased.
Well,
Excuse me.
just for instance, I did get a hold of the finance agent with Merrimack Valley Planning Commission, and they can only go up by statute 2.5% over and above what we were charged last year. So the maximum amount, Merrimack Valley Planning Commission's annual assessment for Georgetown, that's gonna be $3,136.09.
No, that's
the
not bad.
max. No.
That's a bargain.
Yeah, for what we usually get
Excuse me.
from them. And then my map went down from over 3,000 annually, that's the maintenance amount, to 2,000.
Ooh,
And as I explained
another
to,
community jump on?
yeah, what happened, we were going to be the receiving community for a grant, but we weren't eligible. So we partnered with another community through the efforts of Merrimack Valley staff, and we were able to reduce that to $2,000 rather than, I think it was like $3,600. So we were able to save that. So that worked out good. And then the plotter maintenance, as Harry and I talked about, and we were supposed to go over this at the last meeting, which
Right.
would have preceded the Saturday FinCom meeting, but the plotter maintenance, that's projected to be $1,080. And whether or not it comes out of the other professional services or other purchase services, it really doesn't matter. We do have enough money to take care of that particular.
Okay.
The only thing with that is that, several departments utilize it,
That's right.
but we pay for it.
That's my point.
Yeah,
We gotta
exactly.
make sure we got
Split.
enough.
We're very generous.
Over the years, but
Well, they gotta reciprocate and
Yeah.
fill our budget up
sometimes what
with
happens,
these costs.
Tag your it.
other boards won't put it in their budget, but they should have, and everybody else expected it to be.
I did
And then,
report to them that we did get a $50,000
Easy, that's right.
grant from the state, and that money is being used to
so it gets paid.
Gotcha.
conduct the
There's no
feasibility
argument.
study
Yeah.
downtown for the wastewater treatment facility.
Right.
That study is going to be finalized on the 15th, so
Wonderful, we've been
2
waiting on
days from
that.
now. And, we have been, quite a while. And the Economic Development Committee is going to have a presentation by the project engineer on the 26th, Tuesday the 26th of February, Tuesday evening, if anybody wants to come.
Good.
That'll be held here.
That would be helpful.
Yeah. Let's see. Just briefly, everybody, I have the hard copies for Tilly and Harry, having to do with the.
Oh, for the storm?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
and we mailed out today to George, completed,
good.
updated, copy, so I have that before you leave tonight. And that includes the updated table of contents in the draft cover
Okay.
sheet.
The one thing, and I don't think you got my email about that. I don't know that you got it or not.
When did you send
The
it?
one thing, when we went to the Danvers Library and listened to the DEP and the other speaker that was there, was the maintenance. That they kept keying in on, make sure you have a maintenance in your regs. So that's the one thing, and I found one that it was so strict in Ithaca, which was on the Cornell University's website. So I pulled it up, and for what they do for enforcement of all their regs, which was quite many pages, you get the violator gets $1,000 fine or prison.
Wow.
And that's Ithaca, New York.
Wow.
So that's.
It's one of those university towns.
Yeah, it is.
The strong engineering department.
Very good.
Environmental engineering department.
So.
Sounds like a strong arm engineer.
You know, and then I was really shocked. I never seen it of all the time I've looked at different regulations. I never saw that.
Yeah, so their town probably gets a lot of free labor from the environmental engineers to
Could
go out
be.
there and check this stuff. But that's a problem with, you know, all of these regulations.
Yeah.
Follow up.
Yeah,
Nobody
follow
pays
up.
attention.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's looked at these retention basins, you know, and how overgrown they become and how unmaintained they become. And, you know, you can have 3 culvert pipes, say they're 24 inches
Yeah.
in diameter. It only takes 1 season for those things to clog up.
Yeah.
You know, and then 3 to be almost forgotten. Before you know it, the driveways are being, you know, overrun with flooding conditions. I mean,
So this review of the study is on the 26th,
yes, Tuesday night.
Tuesday night,
Yeah.
at 7?
Correct. Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna I don't know if I can make it, but I'm gonna mark it anyway.
And I will notify anybody if plans change,
Okay,
Oh,
good.
good.
including weather.
What weather.
I think I
weather.
have something, for some reason, something's coming up that night.
That's only a week or 2 away, right? This month.
2 weeks, yeah.
2 weeks.
So a week from Tuesday.
So it's the day before our next meeting.
Yeah. And next week
Yeah.
is school vacation, I guess.
Yeah.
President's Day.
President's Day.
Okay. Is there anything else?
So we have a tentative meeting scheduled for stormwater on the 27th.
Yeah.
Thursday night?
Or am I saying the
Thursday,
28th?
28th, yeah.
28th.
Thursday. So,
27th is our meeting, right?
yeah, 27th is this planning
Our
board.
next planning board meeting.
So we'll be
and then that
busy
would be-
that week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
Yeah.
And we'll be able to finalize everything, I can imagine, for
So
the
that would be good.
stormwater regs, yeah.
Well, yeah, I hope to find that maintenance, some kind of thing with that. There was another thing with that we didn't have.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me, when there's a one lot, and there's only one person that's going to build on the lot, I mean, how, we included 1 acre in there, so that would be a
What-
lot of
what are we
single,
talking about?
with the stormwater management, regulations.
Okay.
Are, you know, to be more lenient on the one house rather than,
I'd have to read the wording.
you know, yeah, take a look at that, see what that is.
One other thing before we close up shop, Neil Duffy, the regional coordinator for Green Communities, he was scheduled to come before the board at our last meeting that was canceled, and because there was so much stuff on this meeting, we put him on to the 27th.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
We'll probably be here.
Yes. Yeah. So that'll work out.
All right.
How are we looking for that grant? So that, what do we need to be certified green? Up the,
Yeah, he's gonna go.
That bar?
Yeah, Neil's gonna go over that. We're eligible for an established amount. We just have to apply. You know, so,
we meet the criteria though.
oh yeah, the planning board is going to have to be the catalyst body for the town to become a green community.
Whose decision would it be?
You know, ultimately, this is what, we're getting the presentation, you know, and ultimately, if we buy into that, we're gonna want to advocate to the Board of Selectmen. We're only one of 34 communities in Massachusetts left that is not a green,
Oh, okay, so
certified green community.
it's not new.
No, it isn't. And I always wondered if that's gonna coincide with what Mike had set up for evaluating the energy in buildings.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the stuff we were already engaged in, the
Yeah.
street lighting.
I wondered how that was progressing and whether it was a saving or not. Like,
You know, the reason why we're not, more than anything, we haven't grasped, you know, the part of that green community is that your police and fire department fleets
Yeah,
are energy efficient,
right.
you know, and they have to be on a schedule of upgrading vehicles. And
Oh, I'm sure they are.
yeah,
That isn't, the problem. I don't think you can buy a vehicle today without it being energy
efficient.
efficient. I mean.
It's not a smart thing to do anyway.
Well, it's not on-off, energy efficient, energy inefficient. They're gradations. I would be very surprised if there was a hybrid or all-electric fire truck. I'd be very surprised.
No, yeah, but there were 18-wheelers. The technology is already there. I mean, that's where the industry is going.
It has to.
You know, they have them already. Tesla's already producing tractor trailer rigs that are all electric.
Wowie zowie.
Yeah, so that is,
And ironically enough, an electric cruiser, if it was a Tesla, would probably be a lot faster than a Charger.
Do we have a motion for an
Way back.
adjournment here?
I'll make a motion, if you will hear it, Madam Chair, to adjourn the planning board meeting.
I would second that
All right.
joyously.
Ready to vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. You want
Right.
to tell her later?